Have you ever woken up to a world that feels like it's already ended? That's exactly what happened to me on that cold, sterile morning in the hospital room. My eyelids fluttered open, heavy as lead, and the first thing I saw was the harsh fluorescent light buzzing above me like an angry swarm of bees. My body ached in ways I couldn't even describe, every muscle screaming, every breath a shallow rasp. I tried to call out, but my voice was gone, trapped in a throat raw from tubes and time. Days? Weeks? I had no idea how long I'd been out, but as the fog in my mind started to clear, one terrifying thought pierced through. Where were my parents, the ones who'd sworn they'd never leave my side? Let me take you back a little, because to understand the hell that was about to unfold, you need to know how it all began. My name is Emily, and up until that car crash, life was, well, it wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I was 28, fresh out of a dead-end job at a coffee shop, dreaming of something bigger, like opening my own little bakery someday, with the smell of cinnamon rolls pulling people in from the street. My parents, Sarah and Tom, were the rock I'd always leaned on. Mom with her warm hugs and endless cups of tea, Dad with his quiet strength, and that old pickup truck he'd tinker with on weekends. We weren't rich, but we had each other. Or so I thought. It was a rainy Tuesday evening when everything shattered. I was driving home from a late shift, the wipers slapping against the downpour, when a truck swerved into my lane, metal twisted, glass exploded, and then, nothing. Blackness swallowed me whole. I learned later from the doctors that I'd been in a coma for 3 weeks. 3 weeks of machines beeping, nurses whispering, and my body fighting a war I didn't even know about. The crash had left me with fractured ribs, a concussion that rattled my brain like dice in a cup, and internal bleeding that nearly drained the life out of me. But I pulled through. Against all odds, I woke up. The first face I saw wasn't my mom's, tear-streaked and smiling. It wasn't Dad's, rough hands gripping mine. It was a kind-eyed nurse named Maria, her scrubs crisp and her voice soft as she leaned over me. "Emily! Oh, thank God, you're back with us!" She pressed a button, and soon the room filled with doctors, their voices a blur of medical terms I barely caught. Stable vitals, cognitive function intact, family notified. That word hung in the air like a promise. But as the hours ticked by, no one came. No frantic footsteps in the hall, no flowers on the windowsill, no desperate pleas at my bedside. Just the steady drip of an IV and the ache of confusion settling in my chest. By the next day, I could sit up a little, my head throbbing, but my questions sharper than ever. Where's my mom? My dad? I croaked to Maria when she came back with breakfast, a bland tray of Jell-O and broth. She hesitated, her smile faltering just a fraction. They've been here, sweetie, but things got complicated. I'll let the social worker explain. Complicated? My heart twisted. What could be so complicated about your only daughter waking up from the brink of death? I spent that afternoon staring at the ceiling tiles, counting the cracks like they held the answers. Memories flickered in. Mom's voice on the phone the day before the crash. "Drive safe, Em. We love you." Dad's gruff laugh as he helped me change a flat tire last month. Love like that doesn't just vanish, does it? As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the room, a woman in a neat blazer knocked softly. Her name was Lisa, the hospital social worker, and she carried a clipboard like a shield. She pulled up a chair, her eyes kind but guarded. "Emily, it's so good to see you alert. We've been praying for this." Praying. The word felt heavy. She explained the basics first. The bills piling up, the insurance fights, the long nights in ICU. But then she paused, folding her hands in her lap. "Your parents, they were here every day at first, sitting by your bed, holding your hand. But about a week ago, things changed. They had to step back, work, and other stresses." Other stresses. Those words landed like a punch to the gut. I pressed her, my voice gaining strength with every word. "What stresses? Tell me." Lisa sighed, glancing at her notes. "There's a lot going on at home, Emily. Your family's going through a rough patch financially. The house payments, your medical costs, it's overwhelming. They didn't want to burden you with it while you were healing. Burden me? I was their daughter, not some stranger. But deep down, a seed of doubt took root. Had I been too much for them? Always the dreamer, the one who needed help with rent or car repairs. Maybe this was the breaking point. That night, as the hospital quieted and the rain pattered against the window, I lay there replaying it all. The crash, the coma, the empty chair beside me. Sleep came in fits, haunted by dreams of Mom's face twisting away, Dad's truck roaring off into the distance. Little did I know the real betrayal was just beginning to unravel. And when it did, it would tear our family apart in ways I never imagined. But hold on, because the truth? It was uglier than any nightmare. Waking up from that coma wasn't just about healing my body. It was like peeling back layers of a life I thought I knew, only to find rot underneath. The days blurred into a routine of therapy sessions, pain meds, and endless questions. Physical therapy had me hobbling across the room with a walker, each step a victory laced with frustration. Occupational therapy taught me to hold a spoon without shaking, but the real work was in my head, piecing together the fragments of memory that the crash had scattered. And through it all, the absence of my parents gnawed at me like an open wound. I started calling them on the third day. My phone, miraculously salvaged from the wreck, sat charging on the bedside table, its screen cracked but functional. Mom's number first. It rang and rang. Voicemail. "Hey, Mom. It's me. I'm awake. Come see me?" My voice cracked on the last word, hope and hurt tangled together. Dad's line was the same, straight to voicemail, his gruff greeting unchanged from last Christmas. I left messages, texts, even a shaky video of me waving from the bed. "I'm okay, guys. I miss you." Crickets. By evening, panic set in. What if something had happened to them? A call to our home number went unanswered too. The hospital staff exchanged glances when I asked, their pity a silent confirmation that something was very wrong. Lisa, the social worker, became my lifeline. She visited daily, bringing updates that were more questions than answers. "I've spoken to your parents," she'd say, her tone measured. "They're relieved you're improving, but they're dealing with a lot. Dealing with a lot." That phrase became my enemy, echoing in the quiet moments. One afternoon, as I practiced gripping a therapy ball, I cornered her. "Lisa, please, just tell me what's going on. Are they hurt? In trouble?" She sat down, her clipboard forgotten. "Emily, it's not my place to—" "But it is," I interrupted, my grip tightening until the ball squeaked. "I'm their daughter. I deserve the truth." She nodded slowly, then pulled out a folder. Inside were bills, mountains of them. Hospital invoices for tens of thousands, insurance denials stamped in red, collection notices for the house. My stomach dropped. We'd always scraped by, but this? This was a tidal wave. "Your accident. It strained everything," Lisa explained gently. "Your parents took out loans, maxed cards, and then there was an incident." Incident, another word that chilled me. She hesitated, then continued. "Your father was in a minor fender bender a week after yours. Nothing serious, but it added more stress. They've been pulling back to focus on stabilizing things at home." A fender bender. Dad's truck, the one he babied like a child, dinged up while I lay fighting for my life. It didn't add up. The guilt, the distance. That night I couldn't sleep. The hospital's night shift hummed around me, but my mind raced. I remembered snippets from before the crash. Hushed arguments in the kitchen, Mom's tired eyes, Dad slamming doors. Money troubles, sure, but we'd faced those before. Bake sales, odd jobs. I'd helped. Why shut me out now? As dawn crept in, painting the room pink, a nurse handed me a get well card. Unsigned. Just a generic "thinking of you" from the staff. It was the final straw. I had to get out of there, see for myself. Discharge came faster than expected. Doctors cleared me with a stack of prescriptions and warnings about relapses. Maria helped me pack, her hug lingering. "Call if you need anything, okay? Family or not, you've got people here." I nodded, throat tight, and called a cab. The ride home was surreal, the city streets slick with recent rain, blurring past like scenes from someone else's life. Our little ranch house loomed at the end of the cul-de-sac, porch light flickering like a hesitant welcome. I paid the driver with trembling hands and stepped out, the gravel crunching under my sneakers. The front door was locked. Odd, since it never was. I fished out my key, the metal cold against my palm, and turned it. Inside, the air was stale, heavy with the scent of takeout boxes and neglect. Mail piled on the counter, unopened envelopes spilling over like accusations. "Mom? Dad?" My voice echoed off the walls. Silence. I wandered the living room, heart pounding, photos on the mantel, me at graduation, family vacations, stared back, frozen in happier times. In the kitchen, a half-eaten pizza sat cold on the table, plates crusted from days ago. Upstairs, their bedroom door creaked open to an unmade bed, suitcases half-packed in the corner. Packed? My breath hitched. A note on the dresser in Mom's looping handwriting. "Emily, if you wake up, we're sorry. Had to go. Love always. Check the bank for help." The bank? I stumbled to my old room, booted up the ancient laptop, and logged into our joint account. 0. Drained dry. Tears came then, hot and furious, as the pieces started to click. They'd left. Not just stepped back, abandoned ship while I floated in limbo. But why? What had turned love into this ghost town? I sank onto my bed, the springs groaning under me, and let the sobs rack my weakened body. Little did I know, the ugliest truth was buried deeper, in secrets they'd kept locked away for years. And uncovering it? That would demand a strength I didn't know I had. But as the afternoon sun slanted through the blinds, casting bars of light across the floor, a spark ignited in me. Not just hurt. Resolve. They owed me answers, and I was going to get them, no matter the cost. Sitting in that empty house, the weight of abandonment pressing down like an invisible hand, I realized the coma hadn't just stolen my time. It had ripped away the illusions I'd clung to about my family. The silence was deafening, broken only by the tick of the wall clock and the occasional creak of the settling foundation. I wiped my face, the tears drying into salty tracks, and forced myself to move. Answers wouldn't come from wallowing. I started with the obvious. Their phones were gone, but the landline had a message blinking. I hit play, and Mom's voice filled the room. Shaky, hurried. "Tom, we can't do this anymore. The bank's calling, Emily's bills. It's too much. If she wakes up, tell her we're starting fresh, somewhere quiet." Click. Starting fresh. Without me. My knees buckled, and I gripped the counter to stay upright. Fresh meant escape. New town, new names, new lives unburdened by a daughter in a hospital bed. But anger bubbled up, hot and unfamiliar, chasing away the shock. How could they? I rifled through drawers, not sure what I was looking for. Clues, maybe, to the incident Lisa mentioned. In Dad's desk, I found bank statements, crumpled and stained with coffee rings. Pages of withdrawals, loans from shady lenders, payments to a lawyer I'd never heard of. And then, tucked in the back, a yellowed envelope postmarked 5 years ago. My hands shook as I tore it open. It was a letter from a law firm, formal and cold. Regarding the estate of Margaret Harlow, your mother, Tom. Inheritance distribution as per will, 60% to son Thomas Jr., 40% to daughter Sarah, contingent on no outstanding debts. My grandmother? The one who'd passed when I was a kid, leaving whispers of old money that never trickled down to us. I scanned further, heart racing, notes in Dad's scrawl. M's accident. Use the fund? No, can't touch. Lawyers watching. Fund. There was money, real money, and they'd hidden it. Not for me, but to protect it from... what? Each other? The debts? Me? Memories flooded back then, unbidden and sharp. Grandma's funeral, me at 12, clutching Mom's hand while Dad argued with relatives in the corner. "It's family business," he'd snapped when I asked about the will. Later, hushed talks about trusts and shares. I dismissed it as adult nonsense, but now it clicked. The inheritance, Grandma's savings from her nursing days, invested wisely, had been split between Mom and Uncle Tommy, Dad's brother. Uncle Tommy, the golden boy who'd vanished years ago after a bad divorce, leaving Dad to manage his share. Manage! The words soured in my mouth. Dad had been dipping into it, covering our bills, the house, my college scraps. And when my crash hit, the pot ran dry. I spent the evening piecing it together, the laptop screen glowing like a confessional. Online searches revealed public records, foreclosure notices on the house, liens from the hospital. But deeper digs, through old emails I'd hacked with forgotten passwords, painted the betrayal in stark colors. An exchange from 2 weeks into my coma. Mom to Dad. Tommy called. He knows about the withdrawals. If we don't pay back, he'll sue. We have to leave, take what's left, and go before Emily wakes and it all crumbles. Dad's reply. She's not waking, Sarah. Doc said slim chance. This is our out. Not waking. They'd written me off, traded my life for their freedom. Rage coursed through me, a fire that burned away the weakness. I wasn't just hurt. I was erased. But in that erasure, something awakened. Resilience, maybe, forged in the coma's forge. I called Lisa at dawn, voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. I need help. Legal help. My parents, they left me. And there's money, inheritance, they stole from. She didn't gasp or pity. She listened, then connected me to a pro bono lawyer named Rachel, a fierce woman with a no-nonsense bob and eyes that saw through lies. Our first call was over coffee in her cluttered office, me still bandaged and bruised. Emily, she said, leaning forward, abandonment like this? It's not just emotional, it's fraud. Elder estate tampering. We can build a case, sue for support, expose the mismanagement. As she outlined the plan, subpoenas for bank records, depositions, a civil suit for emotional distress, and financial recovery, the pieces aligned. Revenge wasn't about spite, it was justice, a way to drag their secrets into the light. But doubt crept in too. Could I face them? See the people who'd raised me crumble under truth? Rachel squeezed my hand. You don't have to decide today, but remember, silence lets them win. She was right. That night, back in the empty house I'd sublet to cover rent, I stared at a photo of us three at the beach, smiles wide, waves crashing. It mocked me now, but beneath the pain, a plan took shape. I'd find them, confront them, make them answer. And in court, under oath, the ugly truth would spill out like poison from a cracked vial. The road ahead was long, lined with therapy sessions that mended bones but not hearts, nights where sobs turned to strategies. Friends rallied. My old boss from the coffee shop sent meals. Maria checked in weekly. But the isolation lingered, a shadow that whispered, "You're alone now." Yet in that aloneness, I found power. The betrayal had cracked me open, but from the fissures, light poured in, determination, clarity. They thought I was broken, disposable. They'd learn soon enough. I was unbreakable. And the day I'd walk into that courtroom, it would be their reckoning. With Rachel by my side, the hunt for my parents turned from desperate searching to a calculated pursuit, each step pulling me deeper into a web of lies I'd never suspected. It started small, tracking their credit cards through legal channels, Rachel's paralegal digging into public databases like a digital bloodhound. "They're not far," she reported one crisp morning, her office smelling of fresh printouts and determination. Trail leads to a motel in Reno, then a bus ticket to Salt Lake. Using cash now, but sloppy. Your dad's truck was spotted on a traffic cam. Reno, Salt Lake. Places that screamed running, not starting fresh. My stomach knotted at the thought of them huddled in dingy rooms, counting crumpled bills, all because facing me was too hard. I threw myself into recovery to fuel the fight. Mornings at physical therapy, afternoons poring over documents with Rachel. The inheritance fraud was the linchpin. Uncle Tommy, it turned out, had been in on it too, pressuring them to liquidate his share for emergencies. But my coma? That was the emergency that broke the camel's back. Emails surfaced, Tommy's demands. Pay up or I expose the skim to the estate lawyers. Family first, right? Family. The word twisted like a knife. They'd siphoned thousands, meant for all of us, me included. As a contingent beneficiary, Grandma had quietly named in a codicil I'd never known about. Nights were the hardest. Alone in the sublet apartment, walls thin as paper, I'd replay voicemails I'd found on an old cloud backup. Dad's voice, slurred with exhaustion. Sarah, if Em makes it, we'll tell her. But God, the guilt. Mom's tearful reply. We can't, Tom. She's better off without this mess. Let her heal. Think we're just delayed. Delayed, like a package, not a person. The lies piled up, each one a brick in the wall they'd built between us. But I chipped away, fueled by a cocktail of grief and grit. I even reached out to extended family, cousins I hadn't seen since holidays. Aunt Jenny, Mom's sister, picked up on the third try. Emily? Oh, honey, I heard. They're gone? Her voice cracked, then softened. They called me last month, begging for money. Said you were stable, but the stress was killing them. I said no, told them to face you. Her words were a balm and a burn. Stable. While I fought ventilators and fevers. We talked for hours, Jenny spilling family lore I'd missed. The resentment toward Uncle Tommy, Dad's quiet gambling slips in his youth, Mom's dreams deferred for the kids. Me, the kid who'd unknowingly become the anchor dragging them down. They love you, Em, Jenny said finally. But love twisted by fear, it blinds. Blinds. Yes, but I wouldn't stay in the dark. Rachel filed the first motions that week, restraining orders to freeze assets, summons for their whereabouts. The court date loomed 6 months out, a distant thunder, but preparation was war. As weeks turned to months, I rebuilt in fragments. A new job at a bakery, ironic, kneading dough as therapy for my soul. Friends became family, Maria my unofficial godmother with her weekly pep talks. You're rising, Emily, like yeast in warm water. Rising. I clung to that. But shadows lingered, nightmares of the crash, of empty hospital chairs. And then, a breakthrough. A private investigator Rachel hired traced them to a small town in Idaho, posing as retirees in a rented trailer. Photos arrived, Mom thinner, hair grayer, Dad's shoulders hunched. They looked haunted, not free. Part of me ached. The other seethed. How dare they haunt themselves while leaving me to ghosts? I wrote them a letter then, not for sending, but for release. Pages of raw hurt. You left me to die alone. For money? For peace? I deserved better. Burning it in the sink felt like cauterizing a wound. Painful, but clean. Rachel approved. Channel it into the case. Make them feel every word in court. The plan solidified. Expose the fraud, demand restitution, seek a declaration of abandonment to sever ties legally. Revenge, yes, but wrapped in justice. A scalpel, not a sledgehammer. As spring bloomed outside my window, petals unfurling like secrets, I felt the shift. No longer the victim in a coma bed. I was the storm gathering ready to break, but doubt whispered too. What if they collapsed under the weight, begged forgiveness? Could I forgive? Or would the truth, the ugly, bone-deep betrayal, leave no room for mending? I'd face that bridge when I crossed it. For now, the hunt pressed on, each clue a step closer to confrontation. And in the quiet moments, staring at those Idaho photos, I vowed they'd see me again. Not broken, but whole. Not silent, but speaking volumes. The court would be our stage, and the collapse? Their curtain call. 6 months post-coma, and my body was a testament to stubborn will. Scars faded to silver lines, steps sure without the limp. But the real forging happened in Rachel's office, where stacks of evidence morphed into a blade sharp enough to carve truth from deception. We'd built a fortress of a case. Forensic accounting reports showing diverted funds, Witness statements from hospital staff on their early visits turning cold. Even audio from a creditor's call where Dad admitted, "We had to cut ties. For her sake. For my sake." The hypocrisy burned, but I funneled it into depositions, practicing my testimony until words flowed like a river carving stone. Rachel became more than lawyer, confidant, coach. Over late-night strategy sessions fueled by takeout Thai, she'd probe, "Emily, when you see them, what do you want? Money, apology, or just the satisfaction of them knowing you survived without them?" I'd pause, chopsticks hovering. All of it, but mostly to make them feel the emptiness they left me with. She nodded, eyes fierce. Then we hit hard on the emotional toll. Abandonment isn't just legal, it's a scar on the soul. We role-played it all. Their excuses, my responses. "They'll say the stress broke them," she'd warn. Counter with facts. "You were fighting for life. They chose flight." The revenge plan crystallized in phases. Phase 1, locate and serve papers. The PI confirmed their Idaho hideout, a modest trailer park, them under aliases like Tom and Sally Reed. Serving them was poetic. A process server caught Mom at the door, papers trembling in her hands as recognition dawned. "Emily?" she'd whispered, per the report. No reply, just the echo of summons. Phase 2, discovery. Their lawyer, a slick type from Boise, tried stonewalling, but Rachel dismantled him with motions. Emails poured in. Mom's confessions to a friend. "We thought she'd never know. God, what have we done?" Dad's bank logs, transfers to a joint account with Tommy. Tens of thousands vanished into investments that smelled of scams. I dove into the moral weeds too, not just the legal. Therapy with a counselor named Dr. Hale unpacked the betrayal's roots. "Your parents' love was conditional," he said gently, his office a cocoon of plants and soft lamps. Tied to provision, not presence. The coma stripped that illusion. Sessions unearthed my own complicity. Had I leaned too hard, ignored their strains? But no, he countered. Boundaries aren't abandonment. Their choice was fear, not fate. Fear, it humanized them, softened the edges of my rage. Yet justice demanded balance, not erasure of hurt, but reckoning. As summer heat baked the city, allies multiplied. Jenny visited, bringing photo albums that bridged gaps, stories of Grandma's will, how Dad's pride kept him from asking for help. "He wanted to be the provider," she said, tears mirroring mine. But pride blinded him to partnership. Partnership, what we'd lost. I even forgave in flickers, imagined Mom's terror, Dad's shame. But forgiveness? That was post-climax, a distant shore. For now, the blade sharpened daily. Expert witnesses on trauma, economists on financial sabotage. Rachel's closing pitch. This isn't vengeance, it's vindication. Doubt crept in quieter now, masked as preparation. What if they didn't show? Or worse, what if their collapse in court broke me too? Dr. Hale had an answer. Strength isn't absence of pain. It's wielding it. Wielding. Yes, I wielded it in bakery shifts, rising at dawn to shape dough, each loaf a metaphor for reshaping ruins. Friends hosted war council dinners, laughter punctuating strategy. Maria sent care packages, crystals for clarity, notes saying, "You're the hero of your story." By fall, the calendar circled the date, October 15th, County Courthouse. I'd walk in transformed, hair tied back, suit crisp, eyes unyielding. The plan was set. Open with my awakening, the empty room, build to the fraud, climax with their flight. Revenge, cinematic in its arc. Betrayal exposed, justice a thunderclap. But as leaves turned gold outside, a final letter arrived, forwarded from the old house. Mom's handwriting. "Emily, we can't face this. Please, drop it. For old times. Old times. The gall." I didn't burn it. Instead, framed it mentally as fuel. They wanted mercy? Earn it in court. The blade was ready. And I I was the hand that would swing it, not to destroy, but to demand dawn after their endless night. The week before the trial felt like the calm before a hurricane. Everything still, but the air electric with impending fury. I moved through days on autopilot, final prep with Rachel, mock crosses where she'd grill me like the opposing counsel. "Ms. Harlow, isn't it true your parents supported you for years? Why destroy them now?" I'd counter, voice steady. "Support ends at abandonment. They chose secrets over me." Nights, insomnia gripped tight, dreams blending crash wreckage with courtroom gavels. I'd wake sweating, the empty chair from the hospital manifesting as a specter in the corner. Rachel sensed the fraying. "Walk me through your emotions," she'd say during breaks, her office a sanctuary of legal tomes and chamomile tea. Anger first, boiling at their selfishness, then sadness, a hollow ache for the family photo that lied. Shock lingered, waves crashing anew. How could love curdle so? But beneath, relief stirred, truth's promise, a cleansing fire. We refined the narrative, my story, first-person raw, laced with hooks. Imagine waking to silence from the ones who birthed you. Emotional triggers, yes, but grounded. No histrionics to risk the platform's rules. Justice as the star, revenge its quiet shadow. Allies fortified the ramparts. Jenny flew in, bunking on my couch, her presence a balm of shared blood. "Your grandma would be proud," she whispered over wine, flipping through will copies. "She always said you had her fighter's heart." Dr. Hale upped sessions, role-playing reconciliation scenarios. If they apologize? I listen, but actions speak. Maria organized a pre-trial spa day, mani-pedis amid laughter, grounding me in normalcy. "You've risen, Em. Now soar." Soar! The word echoed as I shopped for my outfit. Simple black dress, pearls from Grandma, armor in silk. Their side leaked through channels, a settlement offer, paltry sum with a gag clause. Rachel shredded it metaphorically. "They want to buy silence. We want the stand." Intel from the PI. They'd hired a local attorney, shaky on fraud law, and were holed up, avoiding friends. Mom had called Jenny, voice breaking. "Tell her we're sorry. We panicked." Panic. Not excuse, but explanation. Dad? Silent as ever. I pitied them in flashes, trapped in their web, facing exposure. But pity didn't dull the blade. Public ripples started too. A local paper ran a teaser. Daughter sues fleeing parents over Coma abandonment. Anonymous source. Rachel's doing for pressure. Comments flooded online. "Heartless. Get him, girl." Validation. Bittersweet. I avoided the echo chamber, focusing inward. Bakery shifts became meditation, kneading out knots, the oven's warmth a hug from fate. The eve arrived, courthouse looming in dreams. I paced the apartment, script of testimony memorized. Awakening, discovery, resolve. Cliffhangers built in. But what they didn't know was the secret that would unravel them. Moral arc sketched. Betrayal's cost, resilience's reward. Rachel's last call. "Tomorrow you reclaim your voice. They're the defendants now." Voice. Yes. Stolen in coma, silenced in absence. I'd thunder it back. As rain lashed the windows, mirroring inner storm, I lit a candle, Grandma's pearls around my neck. "For justice," I whispered. Shadows danced, but light held. The storm broke at dawn, cab to court, heart a drumbeat. They waited inside, faces ashen from PI photos turned real. Mom's eyes met mine across the hall, pleading, broken. Dad looked away, shoulders bowed. No words yet. But in that gaze, the ugly truth hovered, ripe for revelation. The collapse? Moments away. And me? Ready to stand tall in its wake. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and stale coffee, benches hard under my dress as I sat. Rachel's hand a steady anchor on my arm. October 15th, crisp air outside, but inside, tension thick as fog. Spectators trickled in. Jenny in the front row, Maria beside her. A handful of reporters scribbling. The judge, A stern woman with silver hair called order, gavel sharp. Harlow v. Harlow and Harlow. My name first. Vindicator, not victim. Their lawyer rose, slick suit hiding nerves. Your Honor, my clients seek mediation. Rachel's rebuttal. Too late. Discovery shows fraud. Denied. Trial on. Opening statements flew like arrows. Theirs first. Pity play. Tom and Sarah acted out of desperation, not malice. A family's breaking point. Soft, sympathetic. Rachel's turn. Desperation doesn't justify desertion. Emily woke to emptiness. They woke to escape. She wove my tale. Crash, coma, awakening to absence. Pausing for impact. Imagine that silence. That's the betrayal we prove today. Juries eat emotion. I saw nods, eyes softening. Witnesses paraded. Lisa first, social worker voice cracking. They stopped coming after week 2, said family matters pulled them. Exhibits, bills, voicemails. Then the accountant, charts glowing on screen. Over $150,000 diverted from the estate, mismanaged, hidden. Gasps rippled. Uncle Tommy via video depot, squirming. I suggested loans. Didn't know about the daughter. Lies peeled like onions, tears my only shield. My turn mid-afternoon, stand creaking under weight of eyes. Rachel guided. Tell us, Emily, in your words. I gripped the rail, voice clear, laced with tremor for truth. I woke up alone, tubes in my arms, beeps in my ears, and the chair empty. My parents, my world, gone. I painted the house, the note, the drained account. They left because of money, Grandma's money, meant for us all. But I was the burden. Questions probed. Did they ever check in? No calls, no visits, just flight. Their lawyer cross. Weren't you a financial drain? Rachel objected, sustained. I held firm. Love doesn't tally debts. Break for recess, hallway buzz. Mom approached, escorted, eyes red-rimmed. Em, please, whispered plea. I met her gaze. In there, Mom, truth first. Back in, their witnesses. A neighbor, they seemed distraught. Dad's coworker. Tom was wrecked. But cracks showed, alibis thin, excuses hollow. Climax built as fraud evidence mounted. Rachel called the bombshell. Audio from a tapped creditor line, Dad's voice. We had to ghost the hospital. Emily's costs, Tommy's cut. It was sink or swim. Gasps. Mom's depot played. We thought. She wouldn't wake. It was mercy. Mercy. The word hung poisonous. Their lawyer floundered. Context. Judge's brow furrowed. Then the collapse. Rachel rested. Their side called Dad to stand. He shuffled up, face ashen, oath trembling. Mr. Harlow, explain the withdrawals. He stammered. Emergencies. The crash. Pressed, truth cracked. Tommy forced it. We took the inheritance to survive. Leaving him, it was to protect the last of it, protect from me. Mom next, tears streaming. We loved her, but the debt, it broke us. Broke, but not as I'd been. Rachel's cross. Love doesn't abandon. Dad's eyes met mine, guilt raw. We failed you. Failed. Under pressure, the dam burst. Mom sobbed. The will! Your share, Em. We hid it to pay debts. But then Tommy. Collapse literal. Her knees buckled. Bailiff catching as she crumpled, wailing. Dad followed, hand to chest, sliding down. Chaos. Paramedics. Recess called. But truth spilled. Full confession. $200K embezzled. My beneficiary status buried to avoid claims. Justice, unvarnished. Court adjourned for medical. I stood, legs jelly, Jenny hugging fierce. You did it. Did I? Rage ebbed to sorrow. Their forms wheeled out. Revenge tasted bittersweet. Victory, but laced with loss. In the trial's aftermath, the courtroom emptied like a stage after final act. But the echoes lingered. Reporters' flashes, whispers of scandal, Jenny's arm around me as we exited into autumn chill. Mom and Dad stabilized in a local ER, exhaustion and stress, Doc said. No charges beyond civil, Rachel's mercy nod, but the judgment loomed. Full restitution ordered, $180K from estate remnants, plus abandonment declaration. Ties severed legally, emotionally. That fracture ran deeper than any gavel could mend. Days blurred. Media calls deflected. Bakery shifts a refuge where dough absorbed unspoken grief. Rachel celebrated over lunch. You owned that room, Em. Fraud exposed. Justice served. Served! Yes, funds trickled for therapy, a down payment on my dream shop. But victory's glow dimmed against the hollow. I visited them in hospital, Rachel advising against, but heart demanding closure. Private room, beeps softer than ICUs. Mom first, frail in gown. We destroyed everything. Her hand reached. I took it, brief. Why hide my share? Truth poured. Fear of losing all, Tommy's threats, Coma as sign to run. We were cowards. Dad, bandaged from fall, nodded. Proud of you standing. We failed as parents. Apologies landed heavy. No magic fix, but seeds. Forgive? Mom pleaded. Time, I said. Heal yourselves first. Exit left me drained, yet lighter. Betrayal named, power reclaimed. Dr. Hale unpacked it. Justice isn't erasure. It's integration. Their shadow doesn't define your light. Light! I chased it. Shop lease signed, Emily's Rise in curly script. Friends toasted opening, Maria cutting ribbon. From ashes, sweetness. Months on, letters came, sporadic, penitent. Dads. Seeing you in court. Woke us. Moms. Therapy now, for you, mostly. No reconciliation rush. Boundaries my new creed. Uncle Tommy settled out, share clawed back. Public faded. My story, podcast fodder, but I stayed private. Resolution settled soft. Bakery thrived. Sense of justice baked in. Betrayal's scar? Faint, teaching vigilance in love. I dated cautious, chose partners present. Jenny visited often, bridge to fractured past. And the moral? Life's crashes test foundations, families yours. Betrayal shatters, but resilience rebuilds stronger. Don't let abandonment define you. Let it refine. They ditched me in coma hell, but I rose, truth my ladder. Their collapse revealed ugliness, yes, but mine? Unveiled grace. In the end, revenge isn't destruction, it's dawn. Choose yours wisely. And as the oven timer dings in my little shop, filling the air with warm vanilla and hope, I know this. From the deepest betrayals, the sweetest victories rise. Thank you for listening to my story. If it touched you, hit that like button, subscribe for more tales of triumph over heartbreak, and share in the comments. Have you ever had to fight for your own justice? Until next time, remember, you're stronger than the silence they left behind.